All right, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves going up against the Denver Nuggets in round two of the playoffs. We're back at YAMology with our playoff prediction preview series. Alex, welcome.
Uh, Thank you. Yeah, thanks a lot. It's great being back. Finished the recording with Matt. Now you're here. That's kind of funny, but yeah,
Exactly. Yep.
let's talk about some Timberwolves against the Nuggets because game one
Yep.
was played yesterday, and it was a very close game. But in the end, the
Yes,
Timberwolves pushed through and took game one away from home, which is
exactly.
it's
And
probably
they
not what you would have
reclaimed
expected.
exactly. It was not what I expected at all, especially when you look at the actual flow of the game. The first half, Anthony Edwards had 25 of the Wolves' 40 points.
Yeah,
So, the rest of the team had 15 points. It was very inefficient. And then the start of the second half, the Nuggets took a 7 point lead and Ant was like missing a couple shots. And I was just like, okay, I guess this is the part where Denver pulls away. Minnesota had a good fight in game one, but it just ended up like this. But that is not what happened at all. Like the Wolves really fought back. They had a great defensive scheme against Jokic. They really caught him off guard. KCP didn't look comfortable. Jamal Murray was, I believe he was scoreless in the first half. He ended with 17 points, and he was a minus 22 for the game.
yeah,
So yeah, the Nuggets just did a great job neutralizing the Wolves. And the most interesting part of this series to me is Tim Conley built both these teams. So he
yeah,
built the monster that is the Denver Nuggets, and he built the team that is like built to stop the Nuggets.
yeah. That's actually funny because like when you look at it, it's kind of similar to Knicks against Pacers coming up in the second round because it's unstoppable force against immovable object. Like you have got one of the best defenses in the league against one of the best offenses in the league going against each other, and yeah, it's just funny to see that there's like two different approaches going on there, and like going back to especially like the first quarter, where the Nuggets were completely off. Like Jokic got completely stopped by Gobert first, but not only him, but like everyone on the Nuggets got pretty much uh, busy with with Gobert because he's able to play defense the way almost no one else is able to play it. That's why he's arguably the defensive player of the year, and yeah, like it's it's going to be very tough for the Nuggets this series to play their offensive style because it'll come
Yeah,
down to defense probably.
exactly. And when you look at Nikola Jokic specifically, he has a lot to work on by his own standards. I'm saying, not by anyone else's
Yeah,
standards. This is probably a good game, but by his standards, this was a poor game because Anthony Edwards was just like going at him whenever he wanted, and Jokic wasn't really ready for that in terms of like deterring him from scoring at the rim. And KCP's playing through a hurt ankle right now, so he's not doing the best job on the perimeter on Ant. So
yeah,
Ant was just able to like have his way, and then on top of that, Jokic had 7 turnovers along. Oh, he had 9 assists, which is great, but he had seven
yeah,
turnovers, 4 fouls. He was 2 for 9 from three, 11 for 25 from the field. And the fact that he shot nine threes is very telling. That shows that he was not comfortable getting to his spots because what the Wolves did was interesting. They had at times they have like Gobert on Jokic. If Jokic gets by Gobert, Cat is waiting for him. Jokic
yeah,
tries posting up catch. Gobert slides down to Aaron Gordon, just helps off him, and then he's waiting at the rim for Jokic. So, like Jokic is getting. This is like the best defense I've seen on him in a while. Like this team is built to stop him against small ball teams or whatever. Minnesota might struggle a bit, but against a team like Denver, they just this is their bread and butter, stopping big men because
yeah.
they have two elite big men.
Yeah, and that's probably why the Timberwolves are working as well as they do because when you got two big men on the court against Nikola Jokic and you figured the stuff out, that just means that the Timberwolves are way more legit than you probably would have given them credit to because going back to like preseason predictions and stuff like that for playoffs, uh, I personally thought that the Timberwolves would struggle way more with two big men on the court, but apparently that's all just nonsense, and they're still doing great. So yeah,
Yep.
what are your thoughts on the two big man lineup so far?
I think there are times where it works and times it doesn't work. In this instance, it did work.
Yeah,
And the fact that Nasri played really well too, that was a big deal because then they could just have two big men on the court at all times. And Jokic, in his 41 minutes, that they basically have two big men playing that annoying coverage, like against him the entire game. And then when you pair that with like guys like Jamal Murray struggling, that is really telling. And
yeah,
one of the more interesting things I found in this game is when you look at the stats, the Nuggets shot better from three. They shot better. They shot more free throws and better at the free throw line.
yeah,
They turned the ball over less than the Wolves, and they still lost this game and weren't able to score 100 points,
yeah.
despite shooting 42% from three, basically.
Yeah, you know why that is? Because they
Yep.
got swallowed up in the paint.
Yep.
Like Rudy Gobert is not the defensive player of the year without a reason, right?
Exactly. And it's funny too, just like a quick side point. When you look at guys like Gobert, he doesn't like in the Phoenix series. I forgot how many blocks he had, but it wasn't a lot. Like it was just a couple maybe. But
Yeah,
the thing is, everyone knows that like if you go in there, your shot is getting swatted,
yeah,
so no one goes in there anymore. Like and then when you look at Wemby and Chet getting their crazy block numbers, it's because people don't know that about them yet. But with
that's true.
Gobert, the reputation is definitely there, so that's interesting to see. He played pretty good, I will say. I thought that he would have to score more for them to win in this series, and here they are stealing game one, stealing home court advantage without that. So I find that interesting. And looking at the series as a whole, what are your expectations moving on to game two, game three, game four, game five, and then how many other games we need for this series to be done?
Um, Probably I don't know. It feels like it's going down to Timberwolves in six. It currently feels like it, because when you look at like Denver, they're not really using the mid range as much as you probably would hope them to. I mean, you could argue that they have had an off game and the Timberwolves had a very remarkable performance, but I feel like this is not the whole story. Like this, their big man rotation is going to work on Jokic so far, and I think it's going to continue this way. They got the better perimeter defenders, and with Anthony Edwards, someone that's not slowing down so far in the playoffs. Like I don't really see how he's going to stop his production, if I'm being honest. So what Denver has to do, they have to get more into the mid range, and so far, if I'm not mistaken, only like 2% of their shots came from out of the mid range in this game. So they're pretty low on shooting mid range jumpers.
Yeah, yeah, that's an interesting point to note. I guess for me personally, the series like overview, it's really concerning when MPJ has to be the second best player for the Nuggets because he's
Yeah,
a lot more effective as the third guy with Jamal Murray, and Jokic having that handoff game.
yeah,
But Jamal's been rough, and obviously he's playing through the calf injury and stuff. Denver's just really beat up this year, and they don't have the same bench that could like really help.
yeah.
Like there was that one
Totally.
lineup end of the first quarter, I think it was Jokic and just a bunch of young guys. It was Jokic, Christian Braun, Peyton Watson, Reggie Jackson, who is a young guy, and then Justin Holiday. It was just like Jokic and all
Yeah,
bench lineup, and it was really rough because they couldn't hit their threes. I think Peyton Watson even airballed a wide open three,
yeah,
so it was rough.
yeah. The funny thing is though, the Nuggets bench is all positive, while the Timberwolves bench is all negative.
Yeah, that
Like,
is interesting. Justin Holiday was plus 19 actually, so
yeah,
maybe I'm like a bit mistaken there. Uh, yeah, that is interesting. I just noticed that. Mike Conley was a plus 20 game high, 10 assists. That's good for him. But anyways, looking at the series, I expect Denver to bounce back. This was they just looked like they got punched in the face and they weren't expecting it. Like they thought they were dealing with the Lakers where they could just go on their run and then the Lakers would just give up. That was
yeah,
not the case at all with Minnesota. Anthony Edwards made a huge statement, so shout out to him. I gotta admit, he's been absolutely insane in these playoffs.
yeah.
No perimeter defender that he's faced has given him any issues, whether it be Bradley Beal or KCP.
Yeah,
He's averaged, I think, 35 points in his last three road playoff games. Just absolutely crazy. He deserves all the respect in the world. My prediction for this series, I'm gonna say Nuggets in seven. That's a
Nuggets.
nice, clean number. It's gonna be insane. It's gonna be grotesque, but at the end of the day, I think the Nuggets will figure it out because they just had a lot of weird things happen with their best players, like Jokic having an absurdly bad game, Jamal Murray having a horrible first half, KCP only taking four shots. It was like a lot of weird stuff going on there. So
Yeah.
Nuggets in seven is my prediction. What about you?
Yeah, no, like I said, Timberwolves in six. So do we want to talk about X factors that are still that could still happen in this series?
Yes. Yes, let's talk about some X factors. Do you have anyone in mind?
Um, Personally, we already talked about him, Michael Porter Jr. You already said it. He probably has to be the second best player this series uh, for Denver for them to push through. And on the Timberwolves side, I'd say Nickel Alexander Walker would be my guy there because um, someone has to do a job against Jamal Murray, and I'll trust Nickel Alexander Walker to do that.
Yep, those are interesting picks. On the Nuggets side, I will say one Jamal Murray has to be better. Like he just absolutely has to
Yeah,
be better.
nah, that's true.
Uh, the one person I would probably name is just or the X factor, I guess you could say, is the Nuggets perimeter shooting. Like they shot well in this game and they still lost, but they need to do that every single game. They need to shoot well from the perimeter. They need to space out the Wolves, make them think twice about double teaming Jokic, or not double teaming, but like having aggressive help from Rudy Gobert. And Aaron Gordon needs to be like more assertive and impactful, which is hard for
Yeah,
him to do when he's facing these two giant people in the paint. Like everyone knows that one play where Jokic was about to do his classic, is it a post a hook shot or is it an alley oop to Aaron Gordon and then Gobert just swatted it out the way. So
yeah,
Aaron Gordon needs to be big because if he's not shooting well from the three and his ability to play on the dunker spot is hindered, that's going to be a big issue for Denver. And then on the Wolves side, I would probably point to Karl Anthony Towns and foul trouble because he had five fouls in this game. All of them were silly fouls. It's just it's something about Cat. He just has a tendency to reach when he doesn't have to. If he could just be on the court, he's
yeah,
going to give a lot of trouble to the Nuggets just because it will allow the Wolves to play with two big men at all times. And it will, by virtue, like allow them to be more annoying to Jokic, which would make him less efficient from the field. And if Jokic is less efficient, the Nuggets are less efficient, slows down the engine, and then the Wolves have a chance when they muck things up because that's what they want to do.
yeah,
Yeah, that is probably what I'd point to.
yeah. No, that sounds pretty fair. And
Yep.
do you want to wrap up with your top three for this series?
Ooh, I like this. Okay. Top three. Number one, Nikola Jokic. Number two, Jamal Murray, and then number three is tough. But I would probably say, in terms of impact for the series, I would point to Carl Anthony Towns over Gobert. Even I would point to Carl Anthony Towns just
Okay.
because if he's playing good, like you know what the Gobert's gonna give you defensively. He only had 6 points on the offensive end, but if Cat is giving you good offensive production and he's passable defensively, that's going to be huge for the Wolves. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
What about
Um,
you?
I'll say Jokic at one, obviously. Then Anthony Edwards at two. Like, I don't want to go against Anthony Edwards anymore. And number three is actually tough. I'd probably say I'll say Gobert at three, and then right behind him, like four and five, right outside the top three would be Jamal Murray and Karl Anthony Towns. But yeah, with that, I'd definitely give Minnesota the top guy advantage.
That is, yeah, that is a very valid opinion. With that being said, we'll see what happens the rest of the series. The Nuggets were not ready for the Timberwolves' first punch. Minnesota leads 1-0 officially at the time of this recording and when it will be uploaded. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe to YAMology. Check out YAMology not just on YouTube, but also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. And yeah, stay tuned. Drop your predictions below. Take care, everyone.
Take care.